Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's young, he's skinny, he's going to get dunked on a lot, but he is doing some things and he is highly entertaining to watch.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast on location in Viva Las Vegas. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today, our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, one, I'm loving Vegas, and two, how you doing, man?
You know what, man? I'm living the dream. It went from 85 and rainy on Friday to about 50 and rainy this morning. And when we're taping, and all of a sudden it's winter in Texas. So you know what? Let's go. Winter means it's basketball season, man.
Yes, indeed. So on today's episode, segment one, we'll talk things NBA. Segment two, we'll talk college basketball. And quite frankly, nobody likes college basketball because football is really messing it up. And in segment three, we'll do all things women's basketball. But first, Robert, they're going back to East versus West. The NBA All-Star Game is going back to its original format this season in Indy. The game will take place February 18th. This change will end the foolishness some people used to say about the teams against teams and picking things and no more Elam ending. What do you think about the All-Star Game going back to the traditional East versus West?
Good. Are they going to go back to wearing their own warm-ups and their own home and road uniforms too?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going
Because
to do the
that's what
splash
that.
of color.
I mean, of course. I mean, I'm an old guy. I want people to get off my lawn. I'm like, why do they keep messing with this? Just leave it alone and let them play. But I understand why they do it. I don't like it, but I understand why they do it.
Well, the theme this year is, quote, back to basketball, unquote. So again, there'll be no longer a target score, or it'll be a traditional 12-minute four-quarter contest. So let's see what happens. All right, next, why are you cheating? The Phoenix Suns were docked a 2024 second round draft pick by the NBA last week after the league said the team violated league rules on on the timing of free agency discussions. Sorry, that was Thursday with the filming. The league said the Suns engaged in free agency discussions with forward Drew Eubanks. Robert, I don't even know who Drew Eubanks is, before they were allowed to. The pick the Suns lost was originally Denver's and was acquired via the Orlando Magic trade. Why are we cheating for Drew Eubanks? Any thoughts, sir?
Well, not only why are we cheating for a guy that nobody's ever heard of, the pick wasn't even originally theirs. So did they really lose anything? I don't know. But I mean, I guess they need to have some structure to free agent discussions. Um, I, I got nothing, man.
All right. So the Pacers are all in on Rick Carlisle. He has agreed to a multi-year contract extension. Carlisle, who recorded his 897th career win last week. Wow, I remember Rick Carlisle from college. That's why I'm like wowing. This is his second run with the Pacers. He's taken on significant leadership role, including president of basketball operations with Kevin Pritchard and GM Chad Buchanan. Rick Carlisle, 63. He rejoined the Pacers, who he coached from '03 to '07 after 13 years with the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks might want him back. He won an NBA championship with the Mavericks and is also the longtime president of the National Basketball Coaches Association. So good for Rick Carlisle. They love their basketball in Indiana. So congrats to him. So, Robert, I'm going to give you my top 10. And then if you vehemently disagree with anything, jump at it. But this is all based on the season is new now. Let's go. Denver 1, Milwaukee 2, Boston 3, Phoenix 4, New Orleans 5. Zion's playing. Running joke fans.
Yep.
Dallas is 6. OKC is 7. I like watching them play. Orlando's 8 because they're undefeated at the time of the taping. And again, I'm watching them play. Indiana 9 and Golden State 10. Any thoughts on the early season? We're 2-3 games in at this taping, so this will be a fluid topic.
Other than it's early, and I think that the pretenders will shake themselves out in relatively short order. Let's just say I don't think we'll be talking too much about Dallas in your top 10.
That's okay, man. It's early in the season. So games of the week and fans, I will be doing some Friday, Saturday secondary bets is what I like to call them. So Friday, New York plays Milwaukee again. Dame and Giannis on a pick and roll. That's hard. That's hard. Golden State's playing OKC. Young legs run free. And Dallas is playing Denver. And on Saturday, Chicago is playing Denver. So that's the back-to-back. So I'm kind of seeing who's playing. Phoenix is playing Philly. Phoenix is like not healthy yet. And they're winning some games. I don't think they've had everybody playing yet. And Sacramento's playing Houston. So follow me on Twitter or X to see if I'm doing any games. Robert, you're starting to watch the NBA a little bit. Anything before we close the segment that's caught your eye?
Wemby. Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's young, he's skinny, he's going to get dunked on a lot, but he is doing some things, and he is highly entertaining to watch. And he's gotten the people in San Antonio all fired up. That arena's full again. They over the course of the season, they're probably not going to be very good, and they're in the West. But man, is he fun to watch.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to get.
100% agree. And fans, when we get back in segment 2, we'll talk about football's impact on basketball. We'll be right back with the Hot Coaches Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast on location in Viva Las Vegas in segment 2. Robert, I'm glad you're on because nobody cares about basketball. In his first comments addressing the media since the Atlantic Coast Conference voted to bring in Cal, Stanford, and SMU, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips said last week that he's never been more bullish about the health of the league. He's just saying that. After the Big Ten, the Big 12 made moves, the Pac-12 made moves in terms of teams leaving to go to the Big Ten and the Big 12. Men's basketball coaches in the ACC were on board with the addition of the different teams that they added. All 18 teams in the new look ACC might not play in the postseason tournament. This is just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Any thoughts as we head into basketball season on football's impact on basketball?
As somebody who likes basketball and cares about basketball, this is one of those things where they're talking about you talk about unintended consequences, and this is one of those. Um, all of this was driven by that college football playoff money. That's all anybody thought about. That's all any of the Power Five leagues were motivated by when they were having these conversations. And now it's like, well, what do we do now? And so I don't have an answer because I don't know what to. I don't know what they're going to do. We joke all the time about USC playing at Maryland on a Thursday night,
Yeah.
but that's what's going to be happening, and that makes zero sense. 0 cents. And
Terrible.
I think and I don't know how you just say, oh, well, football is going to go do like a English Premier League thing with the top 32 and relegation and all that. And everybody else is just going to go back to where they were, and they're all going to play nice together again, and everything will be like it was except for football. I don't buy that. And I don't know how anybody goes back to that because I don't think that what they're currently doing, what the Power Five leagues are currently doing, I don't think that's sustainable for anybody, because except for the very top of the heap, Georgia, Alabama, Texas and Texas A&M will be fine because they have more money than they know what to do with. Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, except for schools like that. I don't know how all of these schools are going to pay for all of the sports that they currently fund.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can't imagine what doesn't happen down the road at some point is there's a reckoning of sorts about like the Olympic sports and what happens with them. I mean, college basketball is going to survive, and I think they'll figure it out. And there may be some shuffling that is unrelated to football. I don't know, but college basketball is going to be fine. It's just weird. But everything else, I don't know what it's gonna look like for them.
All right. Well, life's not fair. Xavier signed men's basketball coach Sean Miller to a 2-year contract extension that runs through 28-29. Miller went 27-10 last year, took Xavier to the Sweet 16. We've never questioned if Sean Miller can coach. That was never a question. Miller got to Xavier after his stint with the Arizona Wildcats ended in April 2021, after Arizona became entangled with the federal investigation into corruption in college basketball that began in 2017. One of his assistants, Emmanuel Book Richardson, was arrested and ultimately pleaded guilty to a felony count after being accused of accepting $20,000 to steer Arizona players to aspiring sports agent Christian Dawkins. Miller was allegedly linked to the payments when then Wildcats player DeAndre Ayton, based on the FBI intercepted call between Richardson and Dawkins. Miller denied the allegations. The Independent Accountability Resolution Process Panel, which we talked about in the past, said in December that Miller would not face sanctions. Richardson and Mark Phillips, another former Arizona assistant, received a 10-year and 2-year show cause penalty, respectively, while the Arizona program received lesser sanctions. Miller did not coach in the 2021 season, and now he's got an extension, and these other guys are not in the business. And Robert, that's just, no one cares. I know, but it's not fair. And man, that sucks. Any thoughts from our administrator?
I guess I understand why people hire guys like Sean Miller back, because he's a good coach. He's a very good basketball coach. And I understand why they hire him back, because they'll win games and they'll get to the NCAA tournament and they'll get tournament money. And when you have success in the NCAA tournament, your enrollment goes up, all that. I understand all that. I just don't know how you hire somebody like that, because he's not going to change. If I remember correctly, he never apologized. He never said he was wrong. He just got caught. And Arizona, I'm not even sure that they actually fired him. I think it was a negotiated resignation. So he still got some of his buyout. And I could be wrong on all this. I did not Google this, so I may just be making stuff up. It's entirely possible. It's been known to happen. But I would never want to hire somebody who I knew was accused of doing things that were criminal, because chances are he's going to do it again.
And now a lot of this stuff is legal in terms of NIL. Mm-hmm. I'm just mad that good people who did good work got caught in to a system that wasn't designed for their success anyway. So that's where, Kansas getting a slap on the wrist and Bill Self getting a lifetime deal, but these other guys are the fall guys. And as a former college assistant coach who was just around a lot of this, it's just, man, no one cares. I know. So we can get past that, but it's just not right. But
it ain't. Yeah, I could not agree more. It is not right.
Yeah. So finally, fans, no more automatic champ bids. Speaking of things not right, Robert, the regular season conference champion is no longer guaranteed a spot in the National Invitational Tournament. I went left on you. The NIT changed its rules. So instead, the NIT will guarantee berth for two teams based on net rankings. Hey, franchise, how you doing? My tag team partner hates net rankings. So the top two teams in the net rankings not qualifying for the NCAA tournament, regardless of win-loss record, will be selected. Additionally, the 12-team automatically selected will be guaranteed the opportunity to host a game. So they're going to base it on net rankings, not going through an entire season and winning a championship. And the decision was met with some criticism, but no one cares. The NIT board chairman, Dan Gavitt, called the change necessary. And here's the quote, Robert. Quote, the postseason college basketball landscape is becoming more competitive for teams that don't qualify for March Madness. The change to the selection process for the 2024 NIT is a necessary effort to evolve the historic tournament in a dynamic event marketplace. And may I say, that was unquote, and then may I say, ESPN televises all NIT games on its platform. Any thoughts, sir, as we close segment 2, because the NIT has now changed from that mid-major team who won their tournament, who won their conference but lost their tournament, knew they were going to play in the NIT, to now the net rankings are going to dictate this. Thoughts?
Well, what's going to happen is you're going to have the 9th place team in the Big Ten playing the 9th place team in the ACC, or the 9th place team, or the Southeast Conference, and that's all that's going to happen. And I think ESPN figures that more people will tune in to watch that than
Murray State
watching Robert Morris and Murray State play each other, two regular season conference champions who got upset in their conference tournaments. And that is unfortunate, but we unfortunately we are not king of the world, and we don't get to decide that.
Yeah. All right. So with that, fans, in segment 3, we'll talk some things women's basketball. I'd like to get Robert's thoughts on some of the moves that are being made. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we'll start the segment with unfortunate, sad news. Georgetown women's basketball coach Tasha Butts, who we did mention her illness on the show a few weeks ago, passed away last week after a 2-year battle with breast cancer. She was diagnosed with the advanced stages of cancer in 2021. She stepped away from coaching at Georgetown last month. Again, just wish she had the opportunity. I thought she was a good hire, and she was a good person. She former professional player in the WNBA, coached at Georgia Tech. Georgetown is very local to me. I have friends on the staff at schools and the faculty, and I just love Georgetown, and I'm sorry to hear those news. But with that, let's get back to the regular news of the week. Viva Las Vegas fans. I'm in Las Vegas, and Robert, I'm mad because the Las Vegas Aces just won their second consecutive WNBA championship. They're primed for a big run, and I can't find a T-shirt anywhere. I can't. I'm out on the strip. I'm here, there, and yonder, and they got no, Aces stuff. They've got the Raiders. They've got the Golden Knights, but I can't find an Aces T-shirt anywhere. So Vegas, you got to do better. Robert, any thoughts on my hunt for Vegas, Las Vegas Aces back-to-back championship T-shirt?
I can't believe that there's not a team store on the strip. That is a huge missed opportunity. It's not like there isn't retail space available on the strip. Right? I mean, what a huge, you can probably.
And I'm looking, actually. I'm actually looking.
Yeah, I mean,
where can I get this shirt?
I'm sure that there's got to be a team store somewhere in Vegas, but it sounds like it isn't anywhere near downtown or
I don't know.
So you might have to get an Uber somewhere, but yeah, that's a missed opportunity because, like you said, it sounds like, I mean, as long as they can keep Becky Hammon and Asia Wilson, they're going to be in it.
Yeah. Uber got expensive on me, by the way. When did that happen?
What's that?
I said Uber got expensive on me. When did that happen?
Uber in Vegas is expensive.
All right. So, response to the noise, including ours. The Phoenix Mercury general manager, Nick Urin, responded to criticism over the hiring of Nate Tibbetts. And we're not mad at Nate Tibbetts. Nate, get all the money they want to give you. Okay. But the organization's candidate pool was more, quote, broad than people could imagine. The hiring announced last week came under fire by many who pointed to diversity concerns, as well as Tibbetts' lack of experience coaching women's basketball. Prior to his arrival in the WNBA, he was a longtime assistant coach for Portland, Cleveland, and Orlando. Speaking at the news conference, the GM said, hey, the organization knows about diversity and it's critical, but didn't mention the other names in the candidate or finalist pool. Robert, as administrator, how would you have maneuvered that press conference? Because he didn't mention the diverse pool of candidates. He just said the candidate was diverse.
Well, and that's really good administrator speak is what that is. It was a wide and diverse pool. Okay. Didn't say anything about who was in it or what was in it. And I don't understand at this point. I don't understand at this point any franchise in the WNBA hiring a guy with NBA experience to coach a WNBA team. It's not that men should not be coaching in the WNBA. I am not saying that. There may have been a time when the league started that, I mean, what they did when the league started is they hired men, because at that time, men had been more head, there was more head coaching experience with men. As time has passed, more women have gotten opportunities, and women have shown they can coach. And I don't understand why the league even, I can't imagine there's not some kind of message that comes out of the league office that says, hey, we're talking about promoting, diversity and women's causes and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to hire a guy who has NBA experience, you better do these things. I can't imagine there's not some boxes they have to check or something. I'm sure Nate Tibbetts is a fine coach, as we talk about all the time. Dude, they hired you, get your money. But I don't see how that's going to end well for Phoenix, especially if it's already being called into question, unless they hold up a trophy at the end of the season.
Yeah, and again, no beef to Coach Tibbetts. Good luck to you. But the optics, as we sometimes say, just don't look good. Finally, this week, fans, keep an eye on this. ESPN did a full page, splash page article on athletic departments using Twitter, now X, to attract fans, donors, and recruits. But which teams get love? So the report found that an overwhelming majority of Power 5 athletic departments tweeted more about men's teams than women's teams, even though women's teams outnumber men's teams at almost all schools. And the consequences could be an inequity that could mean a Title IX violation and potential lawsuits. So this season, intentionally, Robert, I'm going to keep an eye on different teams and how they're marketing their men's basketball teams specifically, as well as their women's basketball team. So look for the odd coaches to follow more and more teams programs to see if I can see a trend, or you guys follow me. Fans, please send us some information. But Robert, with your admin hat on, what are you saying in your meetings right now with this report coming out on a national website, and now people like myself who look for news to talk about are now talking about it?
Mm-hmm. Well, remember that, Title IX talks about equity, not equality, equity. So it's not a matter of having the same number of staff members working on men's teams versus women's teams. It's not the same number of tweets or whatever they call them now with X. It's not about that. It's about it being equitable to their, and commensurate with the program's success and profile. I mean, I understand that you're not going to tweet as much about women's gymnastics maybe as you are about men's college basketball. But if you're going to promote your men's college basketball team, you better spend an equitable amount of time and resources doing the same for your women's program. And could that be a Title IX violation? Of course it could. And I would be willing to bet, given that at any point in time, anybody can sue anybody for anything, I would be willing to bet that it's more likely that sooner rather than later we're going to see a lawsuit.
Well, here's the piece that made me pause. From the article, inequality could take on a whole new meaning following the advent of name, image, and likeness, which paved the way for athletes to profit from sponsorships and endorsements, many of which require athletes to promote products and services on social media. If athletes can stick a dollar figure loss on unequal promotion, they could up the ante of a Title I lawsuit, and that's according to legal experts quoted in the article with ESPN. Although that's difficult to prove, fans, and it is difficult, it's something that we're going to keep an eye on.
Yep.
So, on behalf of our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, who helps us maneuver these things, I'm Dr. Keith Adams from Viva Las Vegas saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.